One might think that sexual magnetism depends on physical appearance, impeccable attire, a sculpted body, or a perfect replica, but this is not the case. True sexual magnetism comes from within, from an energy that cannot be artificially manufactured. It is something that is felt, more than something that can be explained, and it is far more linked to self-confidence than to any criterion of beauty. Jung asserted that what we unconsciously carry within us most influences our relationships. Understanding this, we discover that we have nothing to prove to anyone, because our strength already resides within us. Most people believe that to attract someone, they must make an effort, appear more interesting, and constantly prove their worth. It's common to see men speaking loudly in groups, seeking attention, or women exaggerating their gestures and clothing, convinced that otherwise no one will notice them. This strategy almost always backfires. Instead of admiration, it arouses suspicion, even rejection, because when the desire to please overrides self-confidence, the other person perceives the insecurity lurking behind their every move. Nothing is less attractive than someone seeking approval. Sexual magnetism arises from the opposite. It springs from inner silence, from a lack of haste, from the tranquility of being oneself without needing permission. The turning point comes when one understands that reacting to the gaze of others is pointless. What's fascinating is responding to life with full awareness, without getting lost in trying to control the opinions of others. Jung said that the psyche is organized into symbols, and that those who possess magnetism are precisely those who embody powerful symbols. Security, serenity, contained intensity. It's not the profusion of words that seduces, but the calm that inspires firmness. A simple example. Imagine someone walking into a room without saying a word. Most people look down, play with their phone, try to fill the void to avoid embarrassment, but some people just walk in, stroll around naturally, take a casual look around, and suddenly everyone notices their presence. It's not because they're more beautiful, but because they radiate a natural energy. This is what distinguishes those who force things from those who possess an innate magnetism. Faced with insecurity, it's common to resort to predictable mechanisms. Some seek to prove something by boasting about their achievements, their money, or their status. Others try to seduce by telling exaggerated stories, attempting to convince the other person of their importance. In essence, this behavior is an impulsive reaction. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being overlooked, fear of not being liked. But by reacting this way, you become predictable. The other person realizes they have power over you, because simply ignoring you destabilizes you. That's when you lose all your strength. Sexual magnetism lies in a different approach, not reacting as expected, but responding differently. When provoked, instead of justifying yourself or retaliating, you simply remain calm. When your boundaries are tested, you don't rush to justify yourself, but rather demonstrate through your attitude that you know who you are. This serenity is disconcerting because the other person expects drama and finds only firmness. They expect an emotional reaction and find only control. This is where magnetism is born, when your energy isn't diverted by the other person's game, but remains focused on yourself. Observe how the most influential people don't talk constantly, don't try to convince, and don't seek attention. They know when to stop, when to act, and when to simply observe. Silence, more often than not, is more magnetic than any word. A measured gesture arouses more curiosity than an excessive movement. It's as if mystery becomes an invisible force, an aura that attracts without needing to be pursued. This is because sexual magnetism doesn't reside in your actions, but in what you radiate. It's a natural consequence of your relationship with yourself. If you invest in self-knowledge, if you take care of yourself, if you respect and value yourself, your energy will communicate this without you needing to shout it from the rooftops. The opposite is also true. If you live seeking the approval of others, if you sacrifice your dignity to please them, if you exhaust yourself trying to be someone else, the other person will notice. Even if you conceal it with sweet words or an impeccable appearance, the consequences for the other person are inevitable. When you expect insecurity and perceive maturity, a pleasant surprise awaits. Those who feared manipulation discover clear boundaries. Those who expected excessive vanity find tranquility. Those who feared dependence discover autonomy. This shift in expectations is powerful because it sparks reflection, confusion, and even admiration. Suddenly, everything changes. Instead of chasing after the other person, they begin to wonder what makes you so special. This is how attraction is born. The true strength lies in understanding that you have no obligation to prove anything. True power lies in the ability to step back from what diminishes us and to transcend trivialities. There is no confrontation more impactful than the absence of a need for confrontation. When you understand this, you discover that your energy becomes so precious that it becomes desirable. Magnetism is neither noisy, nor ostentatious, nor desperate. It's silent, constant, almost invisible, and yet irresistible. That's why you must focus on yourself, not on the other person. Instead of wasting your energy trying to conquer, use it to become someone you no longer need to conquer. Invest in your body, your mind, your lifestyle, not to compete or seek revenge, but out of self-love. The self-confidence that stems from this investment is undeniable. Those who take care of themselves inspire respect, and respect is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. By turning inward, you discover that you don't need to seek recognition. Magnetism develops naturally because it radiates from a person at peace with themselves. This is the true sign of strength, not depending on external validation to feel fulfilled. And this inevitably disconcerts and disarms any adversary. Because it is unexpected, most people are accustomed to insecurity, scarcity, and haste. When they discover dignity, they find something rare and precious. Victory lies in choosing peace over confrontation. Dignity over despair, serenity over haste. This is the most obvious sign of evolution. It's at this precise moment that we understand that sexual magnetism isn't a gimmick, but a state of mind. The more we free ourselves from the need to prove anything, the more irresistible we become. Ultimately, true power lies not in the will to conquer the world, but in becoming someone who naturally inspires respect and desire. Choosing serenity and self-esteem means freeing yourself from insecurity and reaching a rare level of being. This is the secret of magnetism. It's not about appearance but energy. It's not about effort but essence. Anyone who understands this will never again feel inferior to others because they discover that true attraction is a reflection of the relationship they have with themselves. Sexual magnetism is like a flame that doesn't easily go out. But this flame doesn't arise from an external search. It arises from the peaceful integration of what one carries within. When a person is constantly in conflict with their image, seeking to conform to imposed norms, they project an image of instability. This instability is perceived as insecurity and fragility. Yet when a person accepts themselves without resistance, when they move through the world, knowing they don't have to constantly justify themselves, they create an invisible field of attraction. This field needs neither excessive makeup nor perfect muscles. It rests on a quiet confidence that emanates from their every gesture. Often, ordinary-looking people inspire an unexpected attraction. Who hasn't seen someone without remarkable physical attributes, without wealth or ostentation, captivate attention with their mere presence? This magnetism cannot be bought or imitated, for it is internal. Jung asserted that every human being possesses a collective, unconscious, filled with archetypes, universal images that we instinctively recognize. When a person sincerely expresses courage, serenity, or passion, they connect with these archetypes and awaken something primal. This is why magnetism is so powerful. It touches a deep, non-rational, but instinctive layer, contrary to what many believe. Magnetism isn't expressed through a torrent of words, but through the power of silence. A well-placed pause, a steady gaze, an upright posture that doesn't buckle under pressure. All of this speaks volumes. Charisma is rare, and what is rare is precious. When you cease to be predictable and act from your stable inner center, the other person's perception of you changes instantly. What was once seen as a necessity is now considered autonomy. And autonomy is one of the greatest human qualities. Think of how many times you've seen someone try to prove their worth with lengthy explanations, as if it were possible to convince the other person that they deserve to be loved. This effort rings false, and artificiality is off-putting. What is natural, on the other hand, is attractive. When a person is at peace with themselves, they don't need to prove it. They don't need to say, "I am interesting," because their breath, their movements, and their gaze already convey it. True magnetism is silent, because nothing is more convincing than what is left unsaid. The effect of this unexpected behavior on others is profound. Those who expected submission find firmness. Those who expected anxiety find calm. Those who expected conflict find maturity. This role reversal thwarts any attempt at manipulation, because when a person cannot control their energy, their power dissipates. Those who refuse to be drawn into someone else's game become masters of themselves, and self-mastery is the very definition of power. From then on, sexual magnetism transcends physical attraction and transforms into admiration. Desire no longer arises from the other's beauty, but from the irresistible inner strength they possess. Magnetism and seduction are often confused. Seduction can be strategic, manipulative, and theatrical. Magnetism, however, is not. It is the natural result of someone who has learned to direct their energy inward. Instead of wasting it on conquest, this person invests in their personal growth. And this growth is attractive because it gives the impression that being with them will not be a burden, but rather an enriching experience. The other person senses that there is something to discover, something that won't easily fade away, something that isn't just a sleight of hand. Cultivating your magnetism begins with simple decisions. Your diet, the care you give your body, the layout of your space, your reaction to daily stress, all of these influence your energy field. Those who neglect themselves, those trapped in draining habits, will find it difficult to project magnetism, but those who respect themselves and take care of themselves create an aura that transcends aesthetics. It's a silent sign of discipline and self-respect. Another fundamental point is how you manage your emotions. Those who fly off the handle at the slightest provocation show that they are always at the mercy of others. Those who seek to justify themselves in the face of criticism reveal their dependence on external approval. These attitudes diminish their magnetism because they deprive them of power. But those who learn to breathe, to observe, to respond rather than react, create an aura of unpredictability that fascinates. The other person never knows exactly how you're going to act, because your actions aren't guided by impulses, but by consciousness. And mystery is one of the key ingredients of sexual magnetism. This mystery doesn't imply being cold or distant, but rather profound. People with the greatest magnetism don't reveal themselves entirely right away. They share enough to forge bonds, while preserving a part of themselves, a space inaccessible to all. This boundary awakens desire, for human beings value what they cannot easily possess. Magnetism grows when everything is not revealed, when an aura of mystery lingers, something that only time and shared experiences can unveil. Furthermore, magnetism lies not in competition but in differentiation. While everyone strives to apply the same formula to seduce, those who dare to be authentic stand out. Originality is magnetic because it demonstrates courage, and courage is an energy that the human unconscious immediately perceives. It's no coincidence that historical figures considered charismatic didn't follow the norms of their time, but forged their own path. Understanding this helps to alleviate insecurities. We then realize that it's not necessary to compete for attention or prove our worth, because true strength lies in inner fulfillment. Insecurity stems from comparison, from the idea that the other person possesses something you lack. But when you understand that magnetism is internal and doesn't depend on external factors, comparison disappears. Attention then shifts to developing your inner world. This radically transforms your relationships with others. This attitude influences not only romantic relationships, but all aspects of life. Charismatic people attract opportunities, respect, and valuable friendships, not because they seek them out, but because their energy becomes a natural invitation. The environment responds to the field you create. When you radiate confidence, the world opens up to you. When you project your insecurity, the world closes in on you. This is why sexual magnetism goes far beyond simple desire. It is a universal principle of attraction that governs all human relationships. To strengthen this magnetism, you must make consistent daily choices, cultivate inner silence, meditate, learn to observe without rushing, adopt good posture, breathe mindfully, value rest, and invest in continuous learning. Each of these practices amplifies the energy you project and how it is perceived. The result is clear. You become more focused, more intense, more magnetic. Ultimately, sexual magnetism is a reflection of self-love. When you respect yourself, it shows. When you value yourself, it is perceived by others. When you choose dignity over haste, respect over need, tranquility over despair, you reach a level few attain. This is the true secret. Sexual magnetism, once understood, radically transforms your perception of yourself and how the world responds to your presence. This isn't something you can borrow, imitate, or buy. It's the inevitable result of a life lived with awareness, strength, and self-respect. It's the moment you stop seeking attention because you've understood there's nothing to prove. From then on, every gesture takes on a deeper meaning. Every silence becomes eloquent. Every glance reveals undeniable power. Insecurity disappears when we stop comparing ourselves to external standards. We no longer need constant applause, comparisons, or anyone's opinion about who we are. We know. And it is this certainty that creates the magnetic aura that fascinates others. It is at this precise moment that Jung's words resonate most clearly. What you carry within you, consciously or unconsciously, determines your reality. If you nurture fear, you transmit it. If you nurture need, you transmit it. But if you nurture peace, you transmit it. And peace is one of the rarest and most precious forms of human energy. True power lies in not reacting as expected, in not shouting, but also in not remaining silent out of submission. When you don't make excuses, but you also don't hide. When you remain whole, firm, and present, you demonstrate a maturity that few can maintain. This maturity is disconcerting, because most people are used to relationships marked by games, arguments, and emotional excesses. But in your presence, these games lose all meaning. The other person senses that it is impossible to manipulate, weaken, or destabilize them. It is then that the magnetism becomes irresistible. It is not based on a will to conquer, but on the simple fact of existing. It sustains itself because it requires no effort, because it does not seek immediate results. And it is precisely this absence of despair that engenders desire. That which does not beg, that which does not pursue, that which does not need to be convinced, attracts because it conveys abundance, certainty, and fulfillment. The key to all this is simple yet powerful. The secret of sexual magnetism does not reside in the other person. It resides in you. It lies in how you choose to invest in yourself, in the quiet discipline with which you care for your body, mind, and soul, in the respect with which you set your boundaries, and in the serenity with which you face life's challenges. When this transformation takes place, you discover that true seduction is not a technique, but the natural reflection of who you have become. It is at this precise moment that you cease to be a person plagued by insecurity, because insecurity stems from comparison, haste, and the need to please. Magnetism, on the other hand, comes from certainty, serenity, and dignity. Ultimately, true power lies not in seeking attention, but in becoming someone who receives it naturally. It is not about striving to prove your worth, but about living in such a way that your worth radiates from within. Choosing peace over conflict, firmness over recklessness, authenticity over pretense is to liberate oneself and reach a level few achieve. It is a silent victory, an invisible conquest, proof that magnetism is not a matter of appearance, but of essence. And this essence, carefully cultivated, transforms you into someone impossible to ignore,